Hello.
Hello, Daniel. This is Konnan, Disco Inferno.
What's up, fellas? How y'all
Hey,
doing?
how you
Hey, what's
doing?
up?
Hey man, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I've been looking forward to talking to you boys.
Oh, cool, man. What? Let me ask you that. Where you at right now?
I'm in Miami.
Yeah, training.
Yeah, no, I'm working, man. I'm working some other stuff. I do a lot of that. I do a lot of sponsorship stuff and TV stuff. So I'm doing some voiceover stuff right now for this thing I got going.
Oh, that's cool.
All right.
Yeah, I'm lucky.
Bro, I wanted to tell you, DC, this is Konnan. Like I said, Disco Inferno and our producer, JoJo. The first time that heard about you or saw you was when you were in that Strike Force Challengers thing.
Yeah.
And right there, man, I became a big fan of your fighting style. And to the present day, not only that, your commentating's top notch. And not only that, I once saw a show with you. I don't even know what it was called, but it was might have been on what was that show it isn't Fox, the one that you it was a smaller channel, but anyways, FS1, where they have this show that you would go on there and they had you on there and you were breaking down a fight that you were in. Remember that show?
That was on UFC Tonight. It was UFC
Tonight. That's what, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, just the level of knowledge, the nuances, and the way you broke shit down, I was like, bro, just your, MMA IQ was at another level. And it was always weird to me that, like, when you fought Stipe the last time, knowing that his chance was his only chance of beating you, to me, was you getting knocked out. You kept eating his punches. And I was like, well, what? Sooner or later he's going to get caught. Why did you not take him to the ground? Why did you just want to show him you could eat his punches and you thought you'd catch him? I just thought that went so against, everything that, you're so, when you go in, I always thought that after hearing you on that show, I always thought you came in at an advantage, a psychological intelligence advantage, because you had the other guy so perfectly scouted and you almost went against, you know what I'm saying? Against that when you fought Stipe.
So, I honestly, like, I go back and I look at some of the fight.
Yeah.
And I don't even really recognize myself, right? Because sometimes I can be safe to a fault. Remember the Anderson Silva fight? I took him down over and over and over and over because I understood that his chance to win was to get a knockout. So I just wrestled him.
Same thing with Stipe.
Going into absolutely. And going into that fight, right? Like, he fought good, man. He took everything I could give him, and he kept pressing forward, and he kept fighting hard until eventually he found the shot that finished the fight. But I just didn't fight my fight. And it's a very slippery slope, right? When I start talking about all the things that I have in my life, it's a very slippery slope that I try to avoid, because the last thing I ever want to do is take anything away from him fighting the fight that he fought in order to win the heavyweight championship. But so it's hard for me to explain truly.
Can I ask you a question?
Everything that's going on in her life.
Okay, well, I used to box. I was going to be a boxer before I was a wrestler. So to me, I'm thinking to myself, are you having this kind of boxer's mentality where I'm going to psychologically show him I can eat his punches and I'm going to catch him and I want to beat him on our feet, even though almost like a inner macho thing, where if you would have just taken him down, you probably would have gotten the victory. But you said, you know what? I want to go out knocking this guy out. Was there any of that in that?
No, it wasn't, because I knocked him out the first time, right? So it wasn't, can I knock this guy out? It was done. I just thought that in that fight, I fought very angry, right? Like, I'm walking up, just a blatant disregard for his ability, his skill, his punching power, and ultimately cost. But I got to be honest with you. As I've kind of separated myself from August 17th a little bit and look back on everything, I haven't really watched the fight, but with the way that I fought the fight, I deserve to lose the fight. And I think in order to truly make advancements and improvements to go back in the right direction, you have to accept your downfalls. You got to accept your shortcomings. And I believe that mentally, I wasn't there in that fight. Physically, I didn't fight my best fight. Just a number of things that didn't go right. So hats off to him and getting the job done.
Daniel, what's your record? What's your record right now? What's your record?
22-2 and 1 no contest.
Okay, 22-2. So that's like, I think, to me, this is fascinating because you've been a champion for a while. You're always fighting like the number one contender too. Like the number, you're in there against bro. Nobody's going to go undefeated in this sport. You know what I'm saying? Like combat fight. When you're fighting that level of quality competition, it's like, when is it like when you lost when you lost for the first time?
Well,
like that was against
Mentally, how does that change your confidence level, and how did you rebuild your confidence level out of that?
I went undefeated for a long time, right? 15 fights. And, man, I fought my very first tough fight, this goal was, I started fighting in 2009 in September. By August of 2011, I fought Bigfoot Silva, who was number 5 in the world at the time. So I didn't have much time because of my age and also my wrestling background, because when you come into MMA, a lot of guys will have amateur fights. Me, King Velasquez, all these great wrestlers, we don't, right? Because we've had thousands of fights. Every wrestling match is a fight. And so we go right to the pros. In less than 2 years, I was fighting in the top 5 of the world, and it never changed. I just did fights with the best guys in the world from 2011, 2019, and I won the belt in 15. And 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, I only fought the best guys in the world. And it's tough, but you got to get yourself up for your best night every single time you step in there. And I think that's why it's a credit to the guys that hold on to the belt for as long as they do at times. Just that the ability to mentally check in every single time. I mean, honestly, think about this, guys. In your wrestling career, some nights you just don't feel like it, right? It's like tonight is a night that I just know it's not going to be my best night, but you go out there and you still perform. It's the same thing with us. It is my obligation as a champion to whether or not I feel great or if I don't, to go out there and fight at a championship level. That's how I've had 8 gold belts strapped around my waist in my career.
Because at the end of the day, I always tell wrestlers this when they're telling me, well, I'm going through this and I'm going through that. And I'm like, bro, everybody in this dressing room is going through something that people don't know and they don't care. You need to go out there and perform. Bottom line. You know what I'm saying?
Go do your job.
Right. You're not doing it for free. You're getting paid. And even before, I was looking at your record right now, even before you fought Bigfoot, you fought another guy that was a badass that I forgot about, Jeff Monson. So you have been. And then, right, when you look through, let me ask you a question, because I'm part Cuban. The Beast, to me, we were talking to Dan Lambert last week, and he was just telling him what a freak he was. Have you ever rolled around with him, with Yoel Romero?
Hey, you know what's crazy? Today I was driving to my my deal, and the driver was telling me I'm part Cuban. He goes, so I support Yoel. I like Jorge Masvidal. I said, Yoel's beast, right? Yoel and I actually go back all the way to 2002.
Yeah.
We both wrestled in the World Championships in New York City together, the Olympic Games in 2004, all the way to 2008. Every year we're in the same tournament. But Yoel was 185 pounds. I was 211 pounds. So I've always kind of been one weight above him, but I've truly always taken full notice of who he was and his skill and his ability. And man, that dude's 42 years old right now. He don't look like he's slowing down at all.
Have you ever actually rolled around with him or anything, or no?
Just drilling in the bag before tournaments sometimes. We never went hard, but I felt in those moments how fast, explosive, and how strong he was.
So what would it have been like if he would have joined UFC in his mid-20s?
Oh, my God. Could you imagine if, think about this, Konnan. Myself, 31 years old when I started. Yoel Romero, 30-something years old.
Right.
We went through 2 Olympic cycles. Yoel went through 3 Olympic cycles before he started fighting. Yeah. We started in our 30s.
Right.
Imagine if we started
You guys in your 20s, yeah. That would have been.
I didn't start until I was 31 years old.
Yeah. Yep, you're right. That's true.
I started fighting at 31 years old, almost 30.
You guys would have started at this. Right. If you guys would have started the same age John Jones did, incredible.
Let me ask you this. Real quick. What did you ever think? You're a wrestling fan. Was there ever when you came out of the Olympics? Was there talk? Were you interested in professional wrestling?
Oh, boys. Let me tell you something. I honestly, I can't believe I'm talking to you guys. I've been longtime fans of you guys for a long time, all the way going back to WCW. It was phenomenal. The shows were great. You guys always gave so much. I've been a long-time fan. But 2004 Olympic Games, the WWE came to Tulsa, Oklahoma. I went to the show because Gerald Briscoe wrestled for Oklahoma State, right? And he was kind of identifying new, younger talent.
Right.
Olympic cycle had just completed. I was 4th in the Olympics. I didn't know if maybe I wanted to move into pro wrestling, so I went. And Gerald walked me around all in the back and told me how if I ever wanted to do it, what I would have to do, the process, all this stuff, and just said the opportunity's there if you want it. And then I was walking in the back, and I was with Kurt Angle, right? Kurt Angle had just gotten into the Wrestling Hall of Fame. And right as he got into the Hall of Fame, we were in the back, and Kurt said, Coach said, Daniel, the wrestling will always be there. You were 4th in the world last year. You were 5th in the world before. So you're constantly in contention. Finish your wrestling career and then see what happens. And I mean, that conversation actually made me go, you know what? I'm going to keep wrestling. And I kept going all the way to 2008 Olympics. And after that, the interest had kind of waned and I was thinking about doing mixed martial arts.
Yeah. I would have given you the same advice. And not only that, now you're much more valuable when you do decide to come into the game. What did you grow up watching? WWE? Because you're from Louisiana, correct?
Nope. No? WCW, man. WCW and Mid-South Wrestling. Yes. Mid-South Wrestling was the stuff that I watched all the time. Ernie Ladd, Kamala, Junkyard Dog, the Von Erichs were from Texas. They would all. It was Mid-South Wrestling, Blackham Coliseum in Lafayette, Louisiana. Lafayette, Louisiana. Mid-South Wrestling.
WCW used to go to Lafayette.
Yeah, we did TVs there.
That's why I saw Raven with that troll.
Yeah, in Lafayette, Louisiana. That's great, right? Yeah, I remember that town. There was a pretty cool bar there we went to after.
And it was a very hot town, too. That was a wrestling town.
I'm sorry, boys. No, it was the best, man. Like, we would sit on folding chairs at the Blackham Coliseum and we'd watch these guys wrestle. It was crazy.
That was a wrestling town.
That was a wrestling town, and it was real wrestling, right? So I was by my hometown just recently. And there was a little building on the left-hand side of the highway, right? And it was tiny. Maybe 500, 300 people could fit in there. And I remember going into little local wrestling shows there and seeing guys like the Big Cat and them compete and wrestle and perform in front of us on a random little building in my hometown, you know. So it was, I grew up a long time watching wrestling.
Let me ask you a question, Dan, because you're around, 40?
Yep, I'm 40.
Okay, so you grew up watching that type of wrestling, right? And I know you like the modern wrestling. What are the differences that you see between the two styles, either pros and cons? Something that you like from the old days that you don't see new, or something that you like from the new stuff that you didn't see back in the old days as a fan?
Okay, so athletically, you got to appreciate all this new ability these guys have, right? Like the risk that they are taking in the matches it's absurd, right? Some of these flips and that Ricochet guy does like 720 flip thing and rolled, you know. Guys are doing so much, right? They're taking so many risks. I love it. On the other hand, sometimes it can be a little bit like when I was growing up, right? It felt like I was watching a real fight. And now sometimes when it gets a little too silly, it can look too contrived and it can look too much like choreographed to where it's not as good.
Right.
That's
me and Disco. No, you're correct. Me and Disco talk about that all the time, right? And like, for example, on today's show, we showed this little clip of I'm assuming they went to Louisiana, but who was it? The Assassin?
Georgia Championship Press. There's a clip of Mr. Wrestling #2 and the Assassin. Yeah. And it's just a studio interview segment that breaks down in a brawl. And just you know, like you said, like it's like wrestling needs to look like a fight. You know, the thing is today is the problem today with professional wrestling that I see is that everybody, when I got into it, okay, you immediately start marking out for Japanese style wrestling, okay, because here in the States you don't get it. So back when I broke in like I didn't get the Wrestling Observer, I didn't get the Torch. Those were like newsletters that were mailed to you and stuff. When I broke into this, I'd watch it on TV and I'm like, I know it's a work, I don't know how they do it. Okay, so when I trained, I like learned how to do it, but I picked up a lot of the stuff very quickly because I knew how to throw a working punch already. I knew how to throw work. You know, I threw a good working punch, right? I looked like I could fight. The thing is today, it's like I see these guys and it's like, bro, I've trained people and stuff. It's unbelievable how many people get in the wrestling business right now. And that's all I would teach. My class would teach just striking, punching, and selling. I'm trying to teach guys how to punch at that. Hey, have you been in a fight? Bro, the amount of wrestlers today that have never even been in a fight is probably around like 25 to 30%. I mean, seriously.
Well, and even back in the day, right? Like, and even like, I was watching a match once, and I really went, me and like some professional wrestlers, they didn't like the way my following's big. So if I say something as a fan, sometimes there's so many people that it goes back to some of the guys and they don't like me critiquing their deals sometimes. Well, it blew up a couple years ago, but I just was like, hey man, what about a body slam? You know, a freaking suplex. What about there's just not like, you know, sometimes it felt like it looked like sometimes it was rough, right? And it was hard. Like sometimes they wrestled hard and Like when I watch Arn Anderson and he would spine buster somebody, it looked like it hurt. I'm like, man, if Arn gets you with the spine bust, that's gonna hurt, right? Or
when Stan Hansen hit you with a lariat, you knew you hurt.
Oh yeah, if when Barry Windham hit you with a lariat, he's trying to take your head off. It looked like.
Right. And so, like, getting back to that thing, so we put this show, and it was the two guys are discussing, and the people are cheering in the studio audience. Same type of shit you grew up with. We grew up with him in Georgia, me in Miami. And then they get into the ring, and they start fighting, and wrestlers start coming in, and it looked real because everybody knew how to throw a punch, and it wasn't talked about in the back. It wasn't, you duck a clothesline, I hit the ropes, I drop kick you, and I hit you with a tope. Even though obviously the Mexican invasion started the tope thing, but now they've overdone it. You know what I'm saying? But you got to look like you're in a real fight. You know what I'm saying?